Welcome to our channel. Today we are going to explain an American science fiction thriller movie called The Space Between Us. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. Financed by Genesis Space Technologies. Dr. Nathaniel Shepard opens the film by addressing a large crowd about sending a crew of 6 astronauts to Mars through Magellan 61, an advanced space launcher. Believing that Mars is like a ripe fruit that is ready to be plucked, he worries that the Earth's limited resources can bring life to an end within the next few decades. As a solution to this problem, Dr. Nathaniel has prepared to send a team of astronauts to live on Mars and report back the fact that living on Mars is actually possible within 20 hours. Sarah and her team take off in their launcher. As the rocket picks up pace, Sarah feels sick, but she ignores it. Nathaniel and his crew are seen monitoring and managing the astronauts' activities through NASA's space station shortly after Sarah finds out that she's pregnant, which raises a huge debate between Nathaniel and the director of Genesis, Tom. Nathaniel doesn't want the astronauts to return, so since it's too late to abort the mission, whereas Tom wants Sarah and her baby back on Earth. By the time the astronauts reach Mars, Sarah's birth is due. She gives birth to a baby boy with Dr. Gary's help but dies. Due to the complexity of the situation, Nathaniel mourns the loss of a great astronaut and talks to Tom and some professional doctors about the possibilities of tackling the situation in a way they don't lose the fund and be able to help the motherless infant. Nathaniel falsifies Tom's theory of bringing back the child to Earth by reminding him that the child was born without gravity, and hence bringing him to Earth can cause a weird defect in his bones and body. He suggests visiting Mars himself, with Tom objectifies, revealing that he has a brain disorder that can be triggered, feeling as if he's limbless. Nathaniel agrees. I'm keeping the death of Sarah and her child on Mars a secret and classified information from the press and the people so that their image isn't compromised by the media. The scene then shifts to 16 years into the future, where a robot named Centaur is seen heading towards Gardner. Sarah's boy Gardner hasn't seen life outside the headquarters on Mars. He is desperate to escape and see what the world looks like outside a space shuttle. He demands Centaur to create a map of the ventilating systems that go from his quarter to the storage facility of the East Texas, the name of their headquarters. Centaur, despite being his creation, denies the request, claiming that the sort of information he's asking for is classified and cannot be told. Gardner catches Centaur and opens his head with a screwdriver. He gets into his system where he finds the files from the past. He gets a text from Kendra, Sarah's best friend and Gardner's guardian, saying she needs him at the lab. Gardner helps Kendra fix the minor issues of the lab, like fixing the irrigation system which they're using to water the plants they're creating for Mars. Once he's done being a good boy, he heads back and breaks into the files that shows him the pathway to the storage unit. On finally reaching the storage unit secretly, he finds some of the belongings of his mother. He finds a USB drive that has memories from Earth. He sees a picture of his mother with a guy and assumes he's his father. He immediately takes a print out of that picture and connects to a girl named Tulsa on the internet. Tulsa is a devastated high school girl who talks to Gardner as an online friend from her laboratory lecture. Not knowing his reality, she discusses her plan about leaving the foster home after she turns 18 and joining a college where she wants Gardner to be too. Gardner again reminds her that he cannot escape his penthouse because of a rare deceased tale, which Tulsa has a hard time believing. Later, Gardner is joined by Kendra while watching a German movie about an angel who gets banished for falling in love with a woman. Kendra is emotional to find out that the boy is a hopeless romantic. On the other hand, Tulsa is chased by some bullies till she gets on her bike and speeds off to her home, where she finds her foster father drowning in beer and sweat. She gets him to fix a field airplane with enthusiasm, but the Vite is immediately killed when her drunkard father tells her that she should fix it herself. Meanwhile, Gardner breaks out of the station and visits her mother's grave. He starts pulling stunts with his car. In devastation, his car tilts upside down and causes his oxygen cylinder to detach from his suit. Luckily, Kendra reaches on time and reattaches the oxygen kit back to his suit. On their way back, she scolds Gardner, but she immediately feels bad when Gardner refers to him as a boy who's trapped in a bubble. However, she calls Nathaniel, who is also greeted by Tom at the same time, and discusses Gardner's mental health. She shows concern, revealing that the boy is a genius who has made attempts to run away. Tom insists on bringing the boy back, but Nathaniel is still in denial, saying the boy will not survive. Therefore, he talks of a complicated procedure where the doctors will have to plant some substances in Gardner's bones in order for him to survive on Earth. That's when Tom speaks on behalf of NASA and passes a command about bringing the boy back. Kendra delivers this news to Gardner immediately. He becomes super excited and connects with Tulsa to ensure her that he will be visiting her soon, saying the doctors have found a cure for his disease. Subsequently, Gardner is seen going through the procedure and getting physical therapy to become fit to land on Earth. He even gets sent to her to play him movies from where he learns basic gestures and behaviors to blend in with the people on Earth. In no time, Kendra and her team take Gardner back to Earth. Kendra and Gardner land near a deck. Gardner keeps stating that he feels heavy and that a force is weighing him down. They take Gardner to the headquarters to run some tests. They places him on quarantine immediately, which he doesn't like. Nathaniel finally visits the boy, who is smart enough to acknowledge that there has only been a planet change, whereas his situation of being put in a bubble of inspection remains the same. However, through a quick interrogation session with Nathaniel, Gardner is convinced that he isn't welcome to Earth and that he might be sent back to Mars. He takes advantage of his alone time and manages to break out from the facility where he's being held. He steals a guard suit and disguises himself so that Nathaniel and his people couldn't detect it. He hops on a loading truck that speeds away to its destination. Nathaniel arranges a SWAT team to get Gardner back in the facility, which isn't appreciated by Kendra. Meanwhile, Gardner escapes from the truck and nearly gets hit by a giant truck on a highway. Since he has trouble walking on Earth, heading forward, Gardner exchanges the medical glasses that helped him cope up with the color spectrum of the Earth with a normal pair of sunglasses with a pawn shop guy in exchange for directions to Oklahoma, where Tulsa was living, from experiencing rain for the first time to getting under people's observation. Gardner finally makes his way to Oklahoma by bus. On the other hand, Kendra breaks into Centaur Systems to find out his text with Tulsa. She takes Nathaniel's help and hits Tulsa's address and heads straight to her home in a chopper with Nathaniel. Gardner shows up straight to Tulsa's school and shocks her. She slaps him for ghosting her for 7 months. Gardner has a hard time explaining that he was traveling from Mars, so he makes fake excuses. Instead, she tells him to wait in the hall and runs to her class, which is usually taking longer than ever. Gardner can't help himself all waiting, so he shows up to her class and catches up with the environment. After the class, he asks for Tulsa's help in tracing his father. Since he has no other specific goals, Tulsa takes him home where Kendra and Nathaniel were already waiting for him. They surround the area with the SWAT team and request Gardner to head back with them, for which he bluntly denies. When Gardner doesn't surrender, the SWAT men chased him into the open fields, where Gardner's offer an airplane ride from Tulsa, which he had repaired herself. Gardner jumps in and flies away. He admires the land from above the skies, but soon the oil engine stops working, which causes Tulsa to land the plane on a road. Since it has no brakes, she asks Gardner to jump and run away as the plane crashes into a home and causes a massive explosion. Tom also reaches the crime scene to investigate if the boy was in it or not. There, Nathaniel and Kendra gets into an argument. Kendra loses her faith in Nathaniel when he blames her decision of bringing the boy to Earth. Tulsa and Gardner steal a broken car from a random workshop and gets off the grid. Tulsa even switches her phone off so that the Genesis people couldn't trace it as they're escaping through landscapes. Tulsa accuses him of being a liar and picks up a fight. The two, however, start understanding one another slowly. Gardner and Tulsa stopped by a motel and find an abandoned iPad, where Tulsa searches up Gardner's mother and realizes that he wasn't lying to her. Gardner shows her the ring he found from her mother's item, which had some initials engraved on it. Through Tulsa's fast intuition, she finds out it was his mother's wedding ring, and the initials Engrathon it lead them to an Indian guy's address who probably had with Gardner's parents. The two see the police sheriff and run away immediately. Meanwhile, Nathaniel and Kendra search for Gardner in every corner of the town. The two get a call from the lab revealing Gardner's high troponin levels in his blood that is causing heart enlargement in his body. Gardner and Tulsa have a fun time on the road. The two shots for sleeping bags and get some clothes from a mall where they are traced by Nathaniel through CCTV footage. They both then again headed out to find the Indian guy and stopped for the night at an isolated mountain. The next morning, they find a woman who leads them to the Indian guy. Through the guy, they find out the address of Gardner's mother, since she paid through her credit card. The two head to Summerlin, California. Tulsa stops at a place to show Gardner's some famous monuments. Suddenly, Gardner's nose starts bleeding, and he freaks out while repeating the world seems fake to him. All of a sudden he faints, so Tulsa is left with no choice but to take him to a hospital. There the doctors examine his body and became amused to see the large heart that's killing Gardner. They tell Tulsa that they will fix him, but will call social services to make some news since this was one of the kind case. Tulsa, on Gardner's insistence, breaks him out of the hospital and steals a new car to hit the road, whereas the two head to Sarah's home. Nathaniel and Kendra trace the two through a credit card transaction at the hospital. Strangely, Nathaniel understands where the kids are headed to. On finally reaching the address, Tulsa helps Gardner get out of the car since he looks worse than a corpse. When the two finally approached the man who was in the picture with Gardner's mother, the man refuses to be his father. Gardner hits a rock bottom and runs to the beach. The guy tells Tulsa that he is Sarah's brother and doesn't know who Gardner's father is. Tulsa runs after Gardner to stake him since he's vulnerable, but he lets the waves take him, and luckily Nathaniel and Kendra reach on time and pulls him out of the sea. There Gardner confesses that he knows Nathaniel is his real father. Gardner greets him and shuts his eyes. Sarah's brother calls the cops on them, who took Gardner in an emergency ambulance. Subsequently, Nathaniel, Kendra, and Tulsa are seen taking Gardner to a flying jet, where Nathaniel takes the charge and flies the jet outside of the Earth to get Gardner a little better. There Tulsa convinces him to go back to Mars and quit the dream for living on Earth. They get back to Earth, where it is revealed that Kendra isn't going to Mars with Gardner and bids him farewell. Tulsa also shows up and says goodbye as she watches his rocket launch from the station. By the end of the film, Kendrick is seen tracing Tulsa and asking her to come live with her for the rest of her life. Nathaniel is seen on Mars spending his last days with his son Gardner, since his brain condition will not allow him to live any longer outside Earth. Subscribe to see more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.